Hi, gamers! I hope you enjoying Black Myth Wukong. Today I will share what you need to know about this amazing action role-playing game developed and published by Game Science, a Chinese gaming company. With stunning visuals and mythological themes, this game is inspired by the classical Chinese novel Journey to the West. This novel is one of the 4 great classical novels of Chinese literature. The gamers experience mythical characters showing fantastic combat, exciting bosses, and many secrets to unveil. However, the backlash is coming from some quarters as the players are being told not to discuss feminist propaganda, and there is a long list of don'ts for the streamers, such as avoiding discussing politics, COVID-19, or China's game industry. Black Myth is China's first AAA-rated game which sold more than 10 million copies within 3 days. However, with success came controversy as a list of topics to avoid sent to content creators and influencers. The list issued on social media while live streaming the game contains the following topics. Avoid insulting other players and influencers. Don't use offensive language or humor. Avoid discussing feminist propaganda, politics, violence, nudity, fetishization, etc. Don't use words such as quarantine or COVID-19. Avoid discussing China's game industry, news, etc. These instructions were released by game website IGN in November. Some reports show that Game Science employees were accused of inappropriate behavior and sexist remarks. We see mixed responses from the audience. Some see it as wokeness in gaming and some are criticizing the game itself for its lack of diversity. Some reports say that such directives are not legally enforceable and accompanied by non-disclosure agreements. Some users making fun of the above rules as COVID-19 isolation. Taiwan and others have filled the comment section with politically sensitive issues such as the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre. It is not yet clear whether or not the list was posted to appease China's strict censorship regulations. It is believed that people get punished for criticizing the ruling Communist Party. Plus, streamers find it unusual that companies are giving instructions like not mentioning COVID-19. Twitch streamer Ben Castle reports. The normal language of no politics, please don't talk about current events, COVID, etc. has always been part of contracts. However, I do many sponsored streams, and I've never seen anything about feminist anything in any of them. That is new and very strange. Black Myth has been a global hit, hitting 3 million gamers in its first week across all platforms, including 2 million players on PC gaming platform Stream. This was the most viewed game on Chinese platforms on its first day. Surprisingly, in Singapore, some workers were allotted time off to play it according to a report by Straits Times. Chinese authorities are pleased with the success of the game and saying, builds pride, subdues prejudice, and sparks interest in Chinese culture. However, Chinese media is also hitting back and accusing Western media of using the game to create controversies against China. As Global Times, a nationalistic tabloid, reports, their strategy of attacking the game is just the same old Western tactic, politicizing every Chinese achievement, even in the realm of gaming. The articles being written on the issue tell that Black Myth's success activated the radar of some anti-China forces and accused the BBC of wrongly accusing China of censorship to dampen international perception of China. Let's talk about the technical side of Black Myth Wukong. Although the game is being considered one of the most successful games of 2024, some performance complaints from PC players and technical issues from developers are being reported. One of the reasons is the game's vast scale and the myriads of software and hardware environments. Game Science, a Chinese video game company, is helping users to tackle technical issues by providing detailed FAQs. For example, there is a video memory error with 13th and 14th generation Intel CPUs or a driver issue with AMD GPUs. Black Myth Wukong is currently making waves on Steam, captivating players with its engaging gameplay and stunning visuals. However, some users are facing technical difficulties that can detract from their gaming experience. In response to these issues, the developer, Game Science, has provided some helpful advice aimed at resolving these technical problems. While the new Souls-like game has garnered widespread acclaim and positive feedback from the gaming community, one of the more frequent criticisms revolves around its optimization on PC. This lack of optimization has led to various graphical bugs and mechanical glitches, which, in more severe instances, have hindered players' ability to progress through the game. Game Science is actively working on a patch to address these concerns, but in the interim, there are several steps players can take to potentially alleviate their issues. In a post on Steam, Game Science acknowledged that it is aware of certain technical problems affecting Black Myth Wukong. The developers reassured the community that they are listening to player feedback and are committed to finding effective solutions to eliminate any persistent bugs that may be disrupting gameplay. For players encountering technical difficulties that prevent them from enjoying the game, the studio recommends 2 immediate actions. First, try resting at the Keeper's Shrine, and if that doesn't help, simply restart the application. Should these steps fail to resolve the issues, Game Science kindly asks that affected players agree to the data storage and processing agreement. This consent will allow the developers to gather data that can help them analyze the situation more thoroughly and proactively address any problems, ultimately saving players the hassle of having to report them individually. Game Science also took the time to explain why some significant bugs managed to make their way into the launch version of Black Myth: Wukong. They highlighted that the game's extensive scale, combined with the diverse range of software and hardware environments in which it operates, meant that encountering problems during development was an inevitable part of the process. It is important to keep in mind that although Black Myth: Wukong boasts the presentation quality of a AAA title, it has been developed by a relatively small independent team. This smaller team size likely contributed to certain oversights during the development phase. In light of this, the studio has made a firm commitment to focus wholeheartedly on the quality of each player's experience through forthcoming patches and updates, ensuring that they prioritize player satisfaction moving forward. In addition to addressing technical issues, Game Science has offered some valuable advice on how players can enhance their overall experience in Black Myth: Wukong. One of their key suggestions is to avoid feeling pressured to achieve success too quickly. The developers encourage players to immerse themselves in the game at their own pace, reminding everyone that it is fundamentally a single-player experience devoid of competitive elements. They also urge users to take a moment to appreciate the breathtaking scenery and intricate details of the game world, especially during quieter moments when they are not engaged in intense boss battles. This mindfulness can enrich the overall gameplay experience and foster a deeper connection with the game. Black Myth: Wukong has been in development for several years, and its highly anticipated release has marked a significant milestone for dedicated fans who have been waiting patiently for this moment. Within just 24 hours of its launch, the game achieved the remarkable feat of becoming Steam's most-played single-player title, surpassing the previous record holder, Cyberpunk 2077. As the week progresses, it is expected that this record will solidify even further, as more players are likely to pick up the game, especially as the weekend approaches. With its captivating gameplay and rich world, Black Myth: Wukong is poised to continue making a lasting impact in the gaming community. Here is a review from a critic, Richard Wakeling, who praises the game's visuals and boss fights. He says, Black Myth: Wukong is an uneven game where the highlights often outnumber the lowlights. Its triumphant boss battles and fast-paced combat make up for the stale moments in between, where bland level design and a scarcity of enemies will have you clamoring for the next face-off with a deadly Yaogwei. I appreciate that it's not just another Soul-like in what is now a crowded genre, and the choice to go for a boss gauntlet is unexpected and, honestly, quite refreshing. It was Hiro, acting on behalf of developer Game Science, who set a directive to game streamers not to talk about anything that instigates discourse. This was later confirmed by gaming content agency GLHF and Forbes that Hiro Games sent do's and don'ts. The guidelines state that streamers cannot insult other influencers or players, use offensive humor, include topics like politics, violence, nudity, feminist propaganda, fetishization, or content that promotes negative discussions, mention trigger words like quarantine, isolation, or COVID-19, or talk about China's gaming industry policies and news. Polygon has reached out to Game Science and Hero Games for their comments on these restrictions. Restrictions on content are common when receiving early review codes for video games. Embargo agreements define when a media outlet or creator can release information about a game. For example, Polygon agreed to an embargo for Black Myth: Wukong, which specified the approved release time. While embargo agreements do not typically restrict opinions about the game, they may contain guidelines preventing outlets from spoiling crucial plot elements. For instance, Polygon's agreement for Black Myth: Wukong limited the writer from sharing too many details about the game's plot outside of a couple of chapters. However, Hero Games' guidelines for creators deviate from industry norms by restricting all discussions of violence. The request not to mention the Chinese video game industry likely relates to the strict regulations imposed by the Chinese government. China's National Press and Publication Administration controls what games are published in the country and sets rules regarding playtime and spending limits. According to the New York Times, this agency recently backed away from a restrictive proposal that would have further limited video game spending after it negatively impacted the stocks of gaming companies and raised concerns about the government's commitment to revitalizing China's economy. The restriction on discussing feminist propaganda may stem from a 2023 IGN report investigating alleged sexism within game science and the Chinese gaming community. IGN interviewed several women familiar with gaming culture and the industry in China, who reported experiencing misogynistic remarks from developers at Game Science, including co-founder Feng Ji. Game Science has not made a public statement regarding these claims. Despite the unusual coverage restrictions, Black Myth: Wukong has received positive reviews. Polygon described it as both confounding and spectacular. On Metacritic, the game has an early score of 81, indicating generally favorable reviews. However, controversy continues to surround the game. Inspired by the classic Chinese novel Journey to the West, Black Myth, Wukong follows the Destined One, a monkey based on the legendary Sun Wukong. Players embark on a quest to recover lost artifacts, revealing how these relics have shaped the world. The narrative stays true to the source material but includes clever twists and engaging characters, making it appealing even to those familiar with the original story. Strong writing and excellent voice acting enhance the overall experience. Black Myth, Wukong marks a significant debut for game science, showcasing stunning visuals, enjoyable gameplay, and a compelling story. Reviewers are optimistic about its potential in the global market, with IGN's Charles Young stating that it could be a contender for Game of the Year and elevate game science to a leading position in the ARPG genre. While user reviews on Steam are overwhelmingly positive at 96%, Black Myth, Wukong has been criticized for performance issues, particularly stuttering common in many Unreal Engine 5 games. Although efforts are being made to address these problems, frequent frame drops, especially during combat, detract from the gameplay experience. GameRant noted that the game offers about 30 hours of playtime along with substantial side content but criticized its limited combat options, which may lead players to tire before reaching the final boss fight. Traditionally, the most prominent titles in gaming have been AAA games, known for high budgets, impressive graphics, and strong single-player campaigns, such as Sony's Spider-Man 2 and the upcoming Grand Theft Auto 6. The gaming industry has long been dominated by Western companies, with AAA titles setting quality standards. However, there is a significant change as China's gaming industry emerges as a powerful contender. Games like Black Myth, Wukong exemplify this shift with their impressive visuals, ambitious narratives, and a level of polish previously seen only in Western studios. Most of China's gaming market has focused on PC and mobile games, influenced by a 15-year console ban that ended only in 2015. This has created a strong ecosystem of free-to-play and mobile titles. Additionally, restrictions on children's gaming hours have pushed developers to seek international growth. As the gaming landscape shifts, Chinese publishers are looking abroad to expand, with a new generation of developers aiming to compete globally. Due to government constraints and geopolitical hesitance towards Chinese games, many publishers, including Tencent and NetEase, have established studios in the US and Canada. Chinese developers who gained experience as contractors for Western firms are now undertaking ambitious independent projects. By hiring skilled talent and aiming at global audiences, they hope to create high-quality games. The Black Myth, Wukong Collector's Edition, priced at $400, highlights this move towards premium products. To support this growing industry, platforms like Microsoft and Sony are investing in Chinese development. Initiatives like Sony's China Hero Project have been crucial in nurturing local talent and bringing new games to market. These companies are partnering with developers and providing resources, preparing for the rising influence of Chinese games. To sum up, Black Myth, Wukong is a giant step by the Chinese video game industry that needs to be appreciated. Technical issues and controversies have raised some eyebrows about China's strict policy of streamlining everything that goes against their governmental policies and regulations. What are your thoughts about the technical issues of the game and the list of do's and don'ts issued by China's gaming companies? That wraps up the video. See you in the next video.